Greetings, traveler.
Hey everyone, we have our first big balance patch of the season. Let's dive right in. First of all, we have some minions that have been removed. We have no more Trickster, no more Yorick, no more Spellbound Soul, and no more Belcher. Now, we're going to see that there's some other cards returning, so for the most part, these are just cards that are not really that exciting, they're not being used that much, and they're just being removed to make place for others. Except for Belcher, that one is just toxic, get him out. Now, Belcher is just really annoying because it's a death rattle, you can taunt it, it's very likely to go off, you can combine it with Titus, it takes Venom to a whole new level. So we have some cards returning, as I just mentioned, and we see here that we have Bile Spitter instead of Belcher, which I think is a much more fair alternative because it has to rally, which means it has to attack. Like I mentioned before, the Belcher, you can just taunt that. It's got a death rattle, works with Titus. Yeah, just we don't need to make Scam even better. So fair change, I do like this one. And then we have Carapace Razor coming back as well, which I think is a good thing. Right now we're in this position where the game doesn't really feel complete because we have a lot of spell buff minions, but not a lot of payoffs for spell buff. The other day I had Drakari with a Fellfire, which used to feel amazing, and now I was like, well, why do I have this? It's almost exclusively for the Death Rattle Demon that buffs, that gives you staff, and then you buff the shop. And then you do something like Urzol or Felbor or so. But other than that, there aren't really many uses for spell power. You still have the Magic Fin build, theoretically, but it's so hard to get. It's so expensive. The meta is so fast. I haven't played it all season, and I've only seen one of my opponents play it. Now, I'm not saying we have to go back to spell power meta, but I think we should either not have any of these spell power units in the game and not do anything spell power related, or we should have multiple payoffs. Otherwise, it just feels very sad that you have this, like I said, a Drakari with a Fellfire, and you're just like, it doesn't really do anything. So in that same vein, we have Fauna Whisper coming back, which I do like I said earlier. Now, at least when you have that setup and you have some spell power, there is a payoff for it. And it's not like Nagas have been OP or anything. We're kind of just playing the deep blue strategy. Nagas feel very incomplete as well with meditative and then no spell power payoff. So very happy to see something like Fauna coming back. Then we have Drust coming back to help out pirates. So this was in the meta with the Beetle card, where we would used to run Drust, plus the tier 6 Beetle card, where every time it would gain stats, you'd get bigger beetles. Now that's not in, but sure, Drust is a nice little addition. Now you have more chances to buff with pirates, because pirates do struggle to stay within pirates. They're pretty good at generating a lot of money, but right now the most common strategy if you have a pirate setup is to play elementals. So you just have your money from Tethys and Visionary Shipment, and then you run the Rainfall and the Revenant, and you just generate a lot of buffs for your rightmost and then copy the stats. So it's good to see a little bit of buff, so pirates can maybe be played as, you know, pirates. And then we also have Malchezaar returning, which is also so good. There's so often where I have a percussionist that I could buy, and I ask myself, why would I do this? Oh, Malchezaar. Wait, Malchezaar's not in. So whenever Soul Rewinder is in and the whole self-damage package is in, it feels incredibly incomplete if Malchezaar's not there. So great change. I do like that. More economy, more little things to get a better turn. Big fan. Now we have some change cards as well. Ghoul of the Feast is going from +1/+2 to 2/2. This really feels like some random tempo card. I talked about that in my review as well. So I haven't really played with it. I rarely see my opponents play with it. So now with 2/2, that should be, you know, significantly stronger. Probably not something we're going to build around. You know, it's just not strong enough for that, but does make it more likely we're going to pick it up for some tempo phases of the game, you know, maybe like turn 7, 8, 9 around that time. Oh, then we have this one, Soul Splitter. Okay, start of combat, give a friendly undead reborn. Yes, no more silliness with reborning Leroys and Belchers and base skill. My god. I think that was a giant, I don't even want to call it oversight. I think they were just like, well, let's just see what happens. Yeah, we know the high level players are going to reborn Leroy with this, but maybe it's just going to be worth the fun because you can reborn any death rattle. And to be honest, it was fun, you know, if we could just use it to reborn something like a Rylak, even though you could reborn it with something else, but it was a nice little placeholder. You could reborn like the death rattle demon, the AoE guy. It was fine for those things, but unfortunately you can't let the players have something to reborn death rattles because, you know, they're going to be reborning Belchers and Base Skills and Leroys and ruin all the fun for everyone else. Prime is going to Avenge 2. Okay. So this is a tricky one because I have it in my memory from when Primus went from Avenge 3 to Avenge 2. It was like the best card in the game. It was crazy. But Time Warp is in, so that does speed the game up so you don't really have as much time to farm. So I don't really want to call this suddenly like insane. But let me tell you that going from Avenge 3 to Avenge 2 is a significant upgrade. Like that, you feel that. That is several extra procs per fight. That means you're not going to be taking damage. You're going to be dealing more damage with your undead, killing more stuff on their board. So I'll definitely mess around with this, right? Don't discard this. But I do think with Time Warp being in and the game being a little bit accelerated because you have additional resources, it's not going to be as dominant as it was last time it was Avenge 2. That's, you know, the prediction. Then we have Sepulchral. Okay, you guys let me know how to pronounce that. We have the Sergeants. Yes, Sergeants. Death Rattle, give your other minions +2 health from give your minions +2 health. So this used to buff itself. Now, I think this is probably going to be still too strong because this is a thing that we, you know, the high level players have now been experimenting with quite a bit. And I think across the board, people have been figuring out that this guy has some uses. Now, he was kind of tough to make work in the beginning, but then people figured out, oh, if I play this with Overflow, there's a lot of like separate triggers. So this thing gains a lot of extra plus health. Same thing with Lord of Ruins. If you have Lord of Ruins and your Death Rattle Demon and your Titus, that's like tick, 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 tick. That's like buff, 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 buff. So this thing does grow very quickly in those builds. Now, before this nerf, you could actually run Macaw and go infinite, where you would use the Macaw and it would buff the Sergeant and the Sergeant would live, and then the Macaw would live, and then the Macaw would attack again, and like none of your board would die and you just go infinite. That's not going to happen anymore, but you don't really need it to go infinite for it to be strong, because if you have this thing buffing like, you know, 500, 600, 700 health, which I have seen, that's a thing, and you have something like Titus or Golden Titus or, you know, even Golden Macaw, that's still like thousands of health points on your board. So I am not sure if this is going to require another nerf in a future patch, now that we have a lot of the dominant strategies being nerfed. And this thing, you know, it's being nerfed in that you can't go infinite health, but even if it just triggers once with like a Titus, it's still a lot of stats. So curious to see what that's going to look like. Embalming Expert now gives +2 attack on the refresh as well. That's interesting. So we see this being buffed. I already had like a pretty good experience playing with this card. It is a 3-2 instead of a 4-2, so it's a minor nerf, but it's super, super worth it because +2 attack on the refresh is, yeah, definitely worth it. Forsaken Weaver goes from 1 attack to 2 attack. That also seems very necessary. I think I've only seen a Beater Babbitt do well with this, and he had like a golden one and a regular one and like a golden spirit drake and a million spells per turn. So yeah, seems very justified to double the scaling here, but that might make for some strong undead plays with an Avenge 2 Primus and 2 attack for on your Weaver. So we'll definitely be experimenting with that. Plankwalker goes to 2-2 instead of 2-1. Yep, seems fair. Like I mentioned earlier, pirates are kind of struggling to be just pirates, so this is going to help them scale without having to go and dip into the other types. The Razorfin Flapper goes from tier 5 to tier 4. I overestimated the Gem Barrage archetype a little bit in the beginning, and I think the devs did too, because they were probably afraid of Flapper being accessible too early, and especially you can target it with eyes and then use Macaw, and that's a lot of Gem Barrages, but no one's really playing this. Maybe that's going to change now, right? It's a lot more accessible, but that's what this change tells me, right? It like overestimated it a little bit, making it able to, you know, you could pick it up earlier now, you can hit it with eyes. So yeah, it's going to be much easier to dip into this archetype now. Drummer from 4 to 3, that also makes sense, right? They've just put another Quill War on 4, so let's make this one also a little bit more accessible. Then Violet from 2-2 to 3-2. I don't think that matters. Acid Rainfall is still broken. Like it's Rainfall just gets so big, yeah. They have a change here where it's now every 4 times, but I've been making like 7,000 health Rainfalls, so it's like, okay, now my Rainfall's gonna have what, like 5,000 health? Okay. Ooh. You're gonna notice it, but they're so obscenely large right now, especially if you run it with beasts. Like Rylak is nutty with this. You have Rylak. I had a game where I had Golden Rylak, and on one hand I had an engine, and on the other hand I had a refresher. So I had a huge shop buff and then unlimited rerolls, and just roll, buff. So if you get that kind of stuff, Rainfall is still just ridiculous. Now I do like that they are preemptively nerfing this. They mentioned that in the patch notes as well, where they say, okay, we're toning down mechs, we're toning down Murlocs. We're a little bit afraid that now elementals are going to dominate, and I think that will probably still be the case. I don't think every 3 to every 4 is going to be enough to deter me from playing this, but maybe I'm just not able to estimate that properly, and maybe it is a little too slow and you do end up dying now buffing it, but I don't think so. I think it's going to still be pretty good. An Engine Blazer goes from 6-6 to 7-7. It loses a stat point itself, but that's definitely fine. That's okay. It's not like this card is OP or anything. We used Revenant for the most cases, but if you have Rylak, this is solid. Like, it's really nice for Rylak. Green Thumb goes to 2-2. Yeah, there was a time where this would be heresy, and you would say, like, what? Green Thumb is already broken. You're making it a 1-5 and it buffs 2-2, but man, take me back to the days where I would say Green Thumb is broken. Yeah, this is fine. Yeah. It's quite strong now though, right? Like, I would love to have an early Avenge setup and then 2 Green Thumbs next to each other buffing each other. That'd be a lot of fun. Nala from 2-2 to 3-2. Sure, that's good. So that's gonna make tempo Nala plays really good. Right now, that's already quite common to use a Nala to stabilize, and then you discard her and sell her for real scaling. It's a little sad, but that's the truth. So now that it's 3-2, maybe you have 2 of them, maybe a golden one, you just keep it and it's your actual scaling. But it's the issue with most things is that you don't buff your scaling. Like, Nala stays at 3-2, or if you have a golden one, stays at 6-4. If you have something like the Engine Blazer and Acid Rainfall combo, that just keeps getting better and better and better. Spell power just keeps getting better and better and better, right? So it's tough for a card with this static amount of scaling to compete with that kind of scaling. That's essentially scaling your scaling, right? Utility Drone from 2-2 to 3-3. I think I've played like 1 or 2 utility drones by accident. I was just like, oh, okay, I tripled into it, I'll just put it down. So sure, we don't have Beatboxer, and we're not really generating that many magnetics. Now, they are going to do some buffs to Volumizer generation. The Volumizers themselves are getting nerfed, we'll cover that. But I'm not sure if you can run utility drone with that. Yeah, it's like utility drone without Beatboxer is tough. There's also no you used to have what's that card again? The tier 6 guy that puts satellites on everything. Editor's gonna fix it, right? So satellite guy, like, make me look good, editor. All right. Satellite guy with utility drone, that made sense. But just manually putting some volumizers on your guys and then having utility drone is just like how good can that get, right? That's very slow, like manually, right? Like, at least with Beatboxer, you're doubling and you're stacking. I guess you could theoretically still stack with utility drone, yeah. But then the volumizers don't work with stacking, so it has to be like a Quartertrons. It's weird, right? Like, maybe you go play a volumizer and then you put a Quartertrons on it, and then you have volumizer generation and you use that to triple the volumizers a lot, and then you just re-equip that's probably the one avenue I can see to make this work, where you have volumizer, you put a lot of Quartertrons on it, then you triple it with all the volumizer generation, and then you just play it over and over and get a lot of Quartertron money, and that's how you do it. But actually, you don't have Beatboxer, you can't even stack that. You would need the tier 7 mech, right? Yeah, you can't even stack money. Like, it doesn't do anything if you don't have the tier 7 mech. Yeah, this is rough. I don't know, man. I don't see it. Lassomatic has Divine Shield again. Yes, thank you. This felt naked. I'm sure. Yeah, I don't know. It's like, oh, cool, a 7/4. I wonder if that's going to survive. Probably not. So now with Wind Fury, yeah, thank you, basically. This was absolutely lacking. Zarina at a 4 attack. 4 attacks a lot. Okay. That's nasty tempo. Okay. Yeah, I can see that. With some nerfs on the other stuff, and then like mid-game Zarina. Not great in undead beast lobbies because you're gonna lose the tokens, but if you're just fighting stats, like you have 2 Zarinas on the board, you have a little bit of spell generation, that's a lot of damage, chat. That's a lot of damage. Okay, then we have a Volumizer going to 2 attack instead of 3, so that's that nerf we talked about, but itself is a 4/1, so that makes up for it slightly. Obviously, still definitely a nerf. Blue, same thing here, goes from 3 to 2. So they're a bit more aligned with the green one now. The green one is 2 stat points, and now the blue and the red are also 2 stat points. Apex's Guardian is now 2 other friendly mechs. That's basically the change that we covered in the previous one, but I think they just included that here, unless I'm seeing some other kind of change. I don't think so, right? Oh, it says random volumizer, so no longer the green. Okay, that's fair. So you can hit blue or reds with this, and then they have 2 stat points. Okay, sure. That's fair. That's fair. Junk Jouster is now 3/2. Yeah, I mean, mechs were underwhelming apart from Apex's, right? It's like mechs were kind of bad, and then Apex's is broken. So mechs were in this really weird position where it's like, mechs, you're broken. And then all the other cards were like, what do you mean? I suck. And the Apex's is just owning. So yeah, Apex's nerf, buff the other mechs. That's good. I like that. Yeah, Metal Dispenser here gets Divine Shield, now is a 2/7. Yeah, I mean, this card was really tough to make it work, so fair. But again, I talked about it. I just don't see the archetype working right now, man. Maybe I just need to see it. I just need to see someone pull it off, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's how you do it. But yeah, I mean, apart from Apexis, right? You could still do Apexis stuff, obviously. But just like generating volumizers, like, I don't know, like that seems so slow. Tinkerer now gives a Divine Shield and 2/2. Wow, bro, I already like this minion. Same as with the undead card. Do I suck? It's like, do I like bad cards? Yeah. Okay, they're buffing this. Yeah, I was already buying that, doing well with it, right? So, okay, cool. That seems like a huge buff. After the Tavern is refreshed, give the rightmost minion 2/2 and Divine Shield. I wonder if the stats are just looking bad because people keep this too long or like overbuy this, but like I kind of just buy this whenever it's okay as a 3/2 Divine Shield, and then the rest is just upside, and I'm usually quite pleased with the upside. So maybe it's because people are just buying bad minions and they're just like buying every shield. Like, you don't do that, right? You take this guy and then you can still ignore the buff and buy the better minion. And I think maybe that's what's going wrong, where the stats are bad on this card because people are ignoring their tavern and they're just buying the rightmost because it has shields, and then they buy bad minions. Whereas you're supposed to use this, well, now that it is +2/+2, you could probably do that and get away with it. But you're supposed to use this where if the minion is good and it has shield, it's great. So I think maybe that's what's going on here. Dealer from a 1/1 to a 4/4. Okay, yeah, they put this on tier 3 and we're like, okay, we got to be careful here. Let's make it a 1/1 and be like, oh, it sucks. Okay, 4/4 it is. That's fair. Yeah, it was tough, right? It took a while to get going, so I like starting at a 4/4. Corsair being 1/1, got a little mixed feelings about that because I really don't feel like Pure Pirate was popping off and destroying. At least not at high MMR. Now Corsair is nice and it's a lot of buffs, but Pure Pirate really did not feel that good, so... oh, it's tier 5! Ah! Okay. Never mind. Disregard everything. Cut it out, editor. Alright. Hey, Corsair is a 5-drop. That's a good buff. Nice! Oh, they have to make it to 1/1, of course, because 1/2 would be too strong. Alright. Next. Costume Enthusiast. Okay, let's look at the tier first. It goes from 4 to 5. It now only copies the highest attack. Wow, that's like, they're really hitting this card. So no longer an ice target, and it now doesn't copy the health, only the damage. So it went from insane to like, do you have board space for this even? I'm thinking about it. Gain the attack of the highest attack minion. Yeah. So it's like a Divine Shield high attack minion. That's not awful, but when you're popping off with Murlocs, board space is tough, right? Would I rather not just run like another painter like Painter or another hand buffer man. Coral is out, right? I can't just like stack corals too. Oh, this is weird all of a sudden. So I'm playing hand buff, but I don't have the stats for... Ooh. I almost would prefer to just like return coral then and just like remove this guy, because now playing hand buff Murloc seems tough, because you do want the stats from the Bream. You do want to copy the stats from the Bream, and just copying the damage feels off. So not sure about this change. Now, it was too strong. Like, don't get me wrong, it was definitely too strong, but I'm thinking maybe it just shouldn't be a thing and we should have coral back, but yeah, we'll see. Now, Drama Lock going to just attack, that does make sense, because you can't have this copy health. As we've seen, it's insanely broken. But it doesn't really fit the Murloc archetype, because now you just have this very high damage, but Murlocs already have Venom. Sure, you could put like shield high damage, like that's kind of a thing, I guess. Yeah, you just get like a little bit of buffs on this guy, and then you just do like drama, and you have this like, you know, 5,000 damage divine shield guy, I guess. Yeah, like a little bit like mechs. It's like mech Murloc, where you just have like deflectobots, but they don't regain shield. That doesn't sound great. Okay, we'll have to see how this plays out. I mean, obviously massive nerfs here, right? Massive nerfs, which was very justified. Both of these cards were far too strong. I'm just wondering if it's gonna play well now, if I'm actually gonna be happy to do it, or if Drama Lock is more just like in the way. We'll definitely have to mess around with this to see how it feels. Traveler goes from 4 to 3, sure. That's really low tier, but yeah, I like it. I don't mind this card. He came all the way from tier 5, right? It was a 5, then a 4, then a 3. It's gonna be a 1-drop soon. Evoker to 2-1 and buffing itself, so that didn't change that. Yeah, I mean, definitely needed it. But no more bounties, right? Evoker was so good in the bounty meta, because you would have Rogers and you would spam bounties with the privateer, and the double or triple cast would count for the Evoker. Without that, it's not that great. It's just your regular end of turn guy, the dragon, the 8/8 with end of turn, and then evoke. Yeah, maybe like in this very, like, I'm probably not gonna be excited to play it, but in certain cases you could pick it up. Whoa, they made this a 1/4? Really? I feel like this thing was too strong. What? Maybe like dragons were suffering and they're just like want to push people into dragons more, but I was already kind of annoyed at this being so strong on tier 2, so maybe the win rate was just really bad. Like, do I like bad cards, chat? That's like the third card that they buffed that I was like, I kind of like this card already. So, okay, cool. Dundrake, tier 5 now. Okay, that helps a lot. It's much easier to get this now. Now, the meta in like the very high MMR ranges, what I've seen, people are transitioning their endgame board into Stundrake with Mutinous. So they get a big minion like Acid Rainfall, then they eat it, put it on the Stundrake, and pivot with the tier 4 dragon that has the Death Rattle, Summon the Whelp, and Titus. And especially if you've had a lot of money, of like Golden Touch for this thing, and maybe Golden Touch Titus. Yeah, that's like the strongest end game I've seen, because then you have like a Stundrake with 5,000 damage, and you just summon 5,000 damage tokens the whole time. Kind of crazy. I do like this going to 5, because people weren't playing dragons by themselves. It was really just a pivot thing. Yeah, interesting to see how that's going to play out. Kodo now gives its maximum stats, meaning that if it gets damaged, it will still give the maximum buff. I have not seen anyone play with this card. It just seems difficult to set up, to say the least, because you need to get this then kind of early, and then you need to buff it, but then you also need to play summon in combat stuff, and that doesn't really work that well with buff beasts, so you're kind of just reborning, I guess, right? You just have some reborns and you hope that works. So it just seems like a little bit of an awkward card to make work. Yeah, this thing just sucks, right? After you buy a minion, give it +10/+10 and double the stats. It's weird because you have the consume mechanic, you have Acid Rainfall. It has to be the rightmost. I don't want to be just buying random units. I want to be eating them, or just, you know, adding the stats to my Rainfall. Because then I have this random big unit on my board, and it probably doesn't really fit my comp. And yeah, maybe with like Avalanche, right? Maybe with Avalanche you could do this. Yeah, overall I've not been excited about this card. Oh, Highkeeper Raw, I've been digging. This is a very fun card. Battlecry, Death Rattle, and Rally get a tier 60. I don't think that's insanely broken. It was already quite good if you got it early, but now you get an extra 6 when you play it early, and also if you have Bran. I guess no more Moira, right? But if you have Bran, that works out. I had this in 2 of my games where I stayed on tier 2 to play the baller strategy, and I got it through the Discover tier 7, and that was insane because then you're farming 6 drops on tier 2. So I have good memories of this card. Last one standing, 7-7 to 9-9. Yeah, okay, fair. Yeah, I've not been excited about this. I haven't played it a single time. I've seen it on my opponent's board sometimes, but it never really wins. It's too slow for that. All right, then we have Time Warp Pashmar, Avenge 4, get a random spellcraft, and Tavern Spell. So they just changed the stats to be a 9-10. Yeah, that helps. This thing getting sniped sucks. So Avenge 3 might still be a little too good. Yeah, maybe it's fine at Avenge 3. I've played this only once and I was pretty happy about it, but I had a very like accommodating board to say the least. So it was very easy to proc the Avenge. Yeah, I don't know. But it's a 9-10, right? That's gonna live. Bacon Relaxer. After you sell a cool board, displays 2 blood gems on a random friendly minion. Huh. So it's kind of like Prophet of the Boar, where if I play a cool board, I get 2 gems, but I can't target them. I need to have such a specific setup, right? And like Pipers and Jazzers and maybe my own Prophet of the Boar already. I'm just not excited about this. Starlisk. After you trigger a death rattle, gain 3/2 permanently. Okay, they nerfed this. I've literally never played this.
Do I suck? Do I like bad cards? Yeah.
It's probably because I don't have beasts on my board early a lot, but it's maybe too cheap tempo. I don't know, but I mean, what can I say? I've literally never played this. All right, Sporebat. Still 2 Chronum to get a Tavern spell that costs 2 or more. 2 Chronum is a lot, man, for a Tavern spell every turn. This used to be a really, really good card because you could just buy it, and then Hawkstrider was in the game. You could play Reborn on it, combo it with Titus. No Hawkstrider. The game just feels a bit too fast. Like, I don't have time to sit there and farm my Sporebat value. So I think that they have this at 2 Chronums because they have this memory as well of Sporebat being OP, which it was. Back in its day, Sporebat was really nasty. It was on tier 5. It was on tier 3. Yeah, it was first on tier 3, then on tier 4, then I think on tier 5. And on tier 3, it was just bonkers. Like the best thing you could buy ever, because you buy it on 3 and then you find a Reborn and then you find a Macaw and you just like get so much value. You power level, you get a Titus, you triple into a Hawkstrider. Every turn your hand is full of spells. It was a good time. It was a good time for Sporebat. But meta is really fast right now. No more Hawkstrider. So yeah, I don't think I can justify buying this at 2 Chronums. Now at 1, it might be too good. Okay, I'll give them that. It might just be that they're struggling with pricing it. That's a good change. You get a Celemental now instead of an Elemental. Yeah, I picked this sometimes when I already had Celemental to just get a triple. So now getting a Celi out of it, that makes it a lot better. You get a bit of extra gold. Deal this minion's attack to the highest health enemy minion. Okay, I like that. I like that. Wait, it's 2 Chronums now? Ah, bro. No. Like scales now, but I don't want to pay 2 Chronums. Come on, man. You can't do it like buff rag and then like, oh, but it's 2 Chronums now. Like that's scales, but do I want to bother? I don't know, bro. I don't know. I don't know, chat. This is a monk-ass for me. I'm really not sure if I want to pay 2 Chronums for that. I was sometimes okay with it to buy it as its current version as a 1 Chronum, just for a little tempo boost while I was buying the thing that I actually wanted. Now, you're gonna have to commit your whole Time Warp shop to buying Ragnaros, and I don't think I want to do that. Lubber gives 1/1 extra on the spells. Okay. Yeah, it's so niche. Yeah, maybe if you're playing tier 2 or tier 3 strategy with Lubber, that could be fun, right? But other than it's really tough to do that. Time Warp Release, 4 refreshes. Okay, let's go. Let's go. It's gonna be weird because I'm definitely used to 5, but you can just check the counter on release. So, yep, that's a nice buff. And we have Time Warp Tender going from the greater to the lesser Time Warp shop. At the end of your turn, get 2 random Tavern spells that give stats. So it's still the same thing. So I pay 2 Chronums for this on turn 6. I put it on my board. I get 2 spells. If I have spell power somehow, sure. Other than that, not interested. Then we have Time Warp Guard. Now has shield as well on itself. But for 2 Chronums, it's weird because you're shielding stuff that you're gonna sell. Like maybe if it's the best tempo and you just need tempo, maybe. But there's so many better Time Warp picks. I'm not sure about this one at all. Sensei now gives 3/3 instead of 3/2. Sure. Sometimes. I guess it's a 6/6/2. Yeah. It's like these pretty unexciting picks, honestly. Pretty unexciting. Copter now is divine. Okay, that's a real change. That's nice. Avenge 3, get around a mech. It has the yeah, that's nice. I've already bought this once and I was kind of happy about it. Do need a good Avenge setup for it, of course. But now it having divine shields, yeah, that's nice. Oh, Greenskeeper is now a lesser time warp and it costs 2 chronums. See, you can pay 2 chronums absolutely for this, right? Use this to trigger your Jazzer or your Piper, your Rylak, any kind of battle cry. So yeah, that's an exciting change. That's definitely something that you can pick up on your lesser time warp. Low flyer now starts with 10/10. So basically it gives your board 2/2 end of turn. Yeah, sometimes you need it. It's again not that exciting, but it's like a tempo pickup. Sometimes all you need is to get a little stronger and win your next 2 fights, and this guy has a pretty good chance of doing that. New recruit is now 2/2 instead of 1/2. Okay, I mean, you don't really take this for the buff, you take this for the effect. I'm guessing that people bought this too often and it has bad stats because of it. But I've bought it in certain situations where it was really good, like for instance, when I was on tier 2. So this definitely has some great applications. So yeah, I mean, this doesn't really change how I look at the card. It's just slightly better now, sure. Time Orb Geist gives 2/1 and Carapace is back. That's honestly the big one, right? They could just have made this change. It's like, this card is the same, but you now have Carapace in the game. I was like, oh, I'll take it. That's great. If you have that setup, then yeah, you're very happy to pick this up. Caretaker goes from 6 to 4. Yes, this, I said that in my review, right? Like, Jesus, this is going to scale so fast, right? Because any kind of like Macaw or Titus, it's silly. So yeah, okay, deserved nerf here for sure. Siren from 2/4 to 3/5. I mean, it's kind of like Groundbreaker, but horrible, right? Sorry. It's like, the reason why Groundbreaker was good is you could make like 1 or 2 big minions and play scam. With this, you're going to have a mediocre buff come on all your Naga, and you have to like sell some of them for scam afterwards, and you need to keep a flex slot. And if you're cycling a lot, maybe you want a brand, and that's kind of awkward. And you can't get more of these, right? That's another one. Like with Groundbreaker, you could just get more of them. So not excited about this. Twirler goes to 1 chronum, and after you play a blood gem. Oh wow, okay. Okay, they're really doubling down and saying, play Blood Gem Barrage. We made a whole new archetype. Play it. Play it. That's good. I like that. This might be too good now, yeah. After you play a blood gem on this, because the thing is, like, how are you generating blood gems, right? That's a tough one. You need to have such a specific situation where somehow having Prophet of the Boar was a good thing for you, and then you have this. And then you also need the guy that gives you gem confiscation end of turn. Like, your board space is a nightmare with Quillbore, because you need the guy that gives you gem confiscation, then you need a guy that generates gems, then you need stuff that is buffing your gems, right? And that often involves 2 or 3 cards if you're going to run Rylak. So you need a lot of board space for Quillbore right now. So that's a tough thing, because I played Quillbore once or twice, and that's what I noticed is like, man, I do not have board space. I need a lot of stuff on my board. Time Orb Goldrun to 3/2. Yeah, I don't see people playing this. Again, the meta is really fast. So, like, starting to buff your Goldrun on turn 9, it's kind of slow. So it's really something you take if you already, like, really well set up for it. You already have Macaw Titus, essentially, but having that on turn 9 it's a big ask. Yeah. Time Orb Jungle King has Stealth now. Okay, after you summon a beast, give it 3/2. Improves after you cast the spell. I mean, it's good. That's a good change. There's no mech horse in the game though, so you got to play mount, and you got to cycle spells somehow, but I'm beast, so I'm not cycling spells, so still feels odd. Yeah, it feels like an odd card. Like, how am I cycling a lot of spells as beast? But yeah, I mean, it's a good change. It's stealth. This thing needed it. And now we have Boat going from 3 to 4 pirates. I'm ashamed to admit I have not bought a single boat all season. Again, like, pirates haven't been that insane, and yeah, maybe with 4. Maybe like 1 turn with Macaw, like 8 pirates. It's just the meta's so fast. Like, you play both and then you don't get that much out of it that turn, and then if your pirates are kind of bad, you're dead. So yeah, I think both just suffers from how fast the meta is, but yeah, it is tempo technically. But there's no random Eliza or Rip Snarl, so getting the pirates in combat really doesn't do that much. You're just getting a bunch of like mediocre statted bodies. You know, it's like worse tempo than a mount probably. Right, so then we have Interpreter going from 3-1 to 3-2. Okay. Maybe with the improved generation where you have the shield on the new Avenge guy. Maybe you have a setup with like Rylak and the 3-drop that generates the volumizer, and just play like a bunch of volumizers and you buff your board. I can see that. I don't think that's a winning strategy, but I think that's like, okay, I'm having kind of an okay game. Let me just try to get like top 2, top 3. Spam some mechs, call it a day. Electron, after you cast 2 Tavern spells, magnetize a 4/4 satellite to all your mechs. This doesn't really work without Boom's monster. Now you got utility drone, so maybe with the new utility drone, right? New utility drone with Electron and then spell generation. I can see that. It's like the one way, right? Utility drone, spam a lot of spells, but this used to have Boom's monster, and that was, you know, so much better. So many stats from Boom's monster. Grease 3/3. Sure, but it's a 2 chronum now. I guess it was too much tempo on one. Yeah, I don't know. Not excited for this. I don't know. I just haven't been excited for mechs in general, other than just jamming Apexis. I haven't even done that much of it either. But it's just it was just so much stronger than anything else. So, but I guess they had some stats that Greasebot was too strong at 1 chronum, so they made it a bit stronger and then made it 2 chronums instead. At the end of your turn, get 1 of each volumizer. So you're getting 3 instead of 2, but you can't really combine the steamer with the interpreter unless you have Murlocs, right? But that could be a thing. Interpreter, steamer, and then Drakari with utility drone, right? The fact that utility drone got buffed and you can, that makes sense. Yeah, you could do steamer, Drakari, utility drone, but even then, what are we talking about? 6 magnetics end of turn, 6 magnetics, that's what, 18 from the utility drone? It's just so little, bro. Yeah. I don't know. It's just, I'm still trying to make utility drone work other than the Electron. Silver, give 8/8, repeat for each. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really compete with the goods. Like, compare this to like Goldenizer or Clone, right? I can either pay 2 chronums to have this, or I can get Golden any minion or Clone any minion. I know what I'm taking. But, you know, if you have a board full of Goldens, you can play this, get some tempo. That's, I mean, it's not bad with 8/8, right? Especially if you have Drakari. But it's just kind of capped. That's the problem. Whereas the Clone and the Goldenizer stuff, generally, or even Discover a 7-drop, generally do a lot better. Oakdale to 2/2 instead of 2/1. Yeah, this this was already fine, honestly, with Visionary Shipment. Shipment is a great pirate, by the way. Really, really good. So yeah, that makes Hooktail even more pickable. So that's nice. Painter, at the end of your turn, give adjacent minions 2/1. After you play a card from tier below this. Ooh. Ooh. That's a lot of stats. Wait. You can play a lot of cards from tier 3 or below, right? So they removed the restriction, played this turn, so it now stacks. Okay, I can see that. Make a huge base skill, make a huge Bran or something, I don't know. Okay. Yeah, you like Bran. Once you have Bran, and especially if you have something like Time Warped River Skipper, oh my god. You can play a lot of... Okay, this got significantly better. Don't glance over this. Shivara. Whenever a minion is consumed, this gains stats. Yeah, so it's too strong with shield. Fair. Overfiend. After you buy a card, give you demons 3/3. I have not seen anyone run this. Just feels too slow. I don't know. Like, shop buffing is so much faster. Because it just keeps... It's like... It's that issue we talked about, right? You're not scaling your scaling with this. It's a static 3/3. Instead of, I have a spell power and then my shop is getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And with my bigger shop, every time I play a demon, my Urzel is eating more and more and more. And this is kind of just stuck, so... I don't know. I don't really like it. Also, buy a card is so much worse than play a card. Because if you play a card, you can do something like Bran with Reef Explorer or Rodeo Guy and discover cards and then play more cards. If you have to buy them, that is a significantly lower amount. Infiltrator, after you spend 8 gold, give minions 3/3. Yeah, this also seemed a little slow. It seemed that just using the staff and the Death Rattle Demon was a lot easier because, again, you can improve that with spell power. You could have Titus generating more staffs. You could even Macaw. So probably a justified buff. And you would have to be like Pirate APM, I think. You have to be like Pirate APM and then somehow get this card and then play Urzel. That's probably how I'd play this. Calligrapher, Battlecry, Deathcry or Rally, get a random tavern spell. It's now at 12-14. Okay, I already took this card sometimes for like Nala, Tempo, and stuff like that, so that's pretty nice. Time Warp Promo Drake. Give your minions 2/2, improves after you spend 5 gold instead of 8 gold. But it's start of combat, it's not permanent, right? I need Poet, but then if I'm running Poet, how am I spending a bunch of money? Like, it just doesn't make sense, right? It's a dragon that needs APM setup because you have to spend tons of gold, but then you're gonna have to play Poet as well. And then if you're gonna run Poet, you have to run dragons, and you have to run dragons. You don't really have a lot of board space for your brand and your Tethys, and it just feels like it doesn't work. It doesn't, yeah. It's hard to explain. It's just like I don't have a place for it in how I'm thinking about the game. Duskmaw, Avenge 1, give your dragons 4/3. Yeah, this is so specific. You almost already need the tier 4 dragon on your board and like a stun drake or something. And a Poet. Yeah. Prism Scale, Avenge 3, get Azerite Empowerment. Oh, wait. Okay. Wow. Okay. This I like. Okay. Because that's a comp all of a sudden. You can do spell power with this, right? So it's Avenge 3, but it's 1 Chronom instead of 2, and you're always getting Azerite Empowerment. I like that. That's so cool. They just were like, you know what? We're going in. Give them like 5 Azerites in their hand. Who cares? Now, the issue is you do need to have Avenge with it, so you need to have that tier 4 dragon and Titus. But the good news is that, you know, Azerite Empowerment buffs permanently, so your Titus gets bigger, your stun trait gets bigger. So this is now a real thing where if you have a little bit of spell power, you can run stun trait with Titus and the tier 4 guy that farms Avenge, and then maybe get like 2 or 3 Azerites per turn. Spam some Azerites, make your stun trait. I like this. This is a fun change. Centurion is now 3 times per turn. Yeah. Again, meta's a little fast, so you need to be in a really good spot to take this. You need to be comfortable just saying, oh, let me just get some value instead of instant tempo on my board. Like Goldenizer is instant, Clone is instant. So taking this is more like an investment in the future because you're doing this so that you can do it this turn, but then also next turn and the turn after that. So it's really it's like a long-term pick, which you can only really do if you're in a strong position. On the house is 3 minions. Yep. This wasn't really good enough at 2. Bananas, 3 spell power. So this was instant tempo, but you're not really happy if you're taking this. So you take this if you're in a bad spot and you just need to have a big guy immediately. Or you take this if you have so much value that you just need to stay alive, and that's also fine. So you're either in a really, really good spot or a really bad spot. But I pretty much never take this if I'm just like in a reasonable spot. Because you get 0 value from this, right? It's pure tempo. Well, I guess you get 3/3 spell power, so like there's some value, but not that much. Oh, Ritual is 2 tier 7 minions instead of 1. Because the random tier 7 spell, it was so sad to get Sharing is Caring. It's like you could get like Divine Shields or Blade of Ambition or like 1 turn combat buff that may or may not win you the fight. It's like, ugh. So the variance on that was like so, ugh. But yeah, just getting 2 7s is really strong. In the right lobby, this is like nasty. 2 shots at Zargira, 2 shots at Sanders. I've been doing Sanders Murkai to like golden my whole board because Murkai is back to any battle cry. Yeah, this got a lot better. Like, I'm taking this a lot of the time. Ugh! Oil to 4! I already took a lot of oil. I saw other like high level players also take oil quite often. Mostly because we just looked at the other offerings. So it was like, not interested. I'll just take the money. So this is great. 4 gold. Let's go, baby. More money. Okay, Evo now, instead of keeping the stats, becomes 30-30. I think that's good because very often the guy that I was transforming was lower than 30-30 because either I didn't want to get rid of that minion because usually when you have a minion on the board, it's kind of part of the team, right? And it does a thing. Or I just, you know, I didn't have any. Yeah, usually it was that. Usually I just didn't have anything that I wanted to, because now I can just grab a random 1-drop that I have from, say, like a River Skipper and then just like turn it into a 6-drop that's 30-30. That's good. I like that change. Then we have 1 Chronum on the following ones. A Nubarak. After you play an undead, yeah. It's kind of hard to play a lot of undead. Bandit, I like that. Play 4 blood gems on all your... Yeah, that. I don't think it was worth 2 Chronums. That's nice. Summoner was definitely not worth 2 Chronums. I still took that sometimes because I was in such a good position and I say, I just need like 1 or 2 cards, but very often I kept this for 1 or 2 turns and just sold it. So very sad to invest 2 Chronums in that. So 9 Frogs, same deal here. It's slow. It's a lot of value, but it doesn't immediately make you that strong. So 1 Chronum, great. We'll play that at 1 Chronum for sure. 2 Chronums too much. Labrat, same thing as with the other beasts. You're not really casting spells in beasts, so I picked this once because I had this weird setup where I had like Bran and it was like a little okay, but was not happy about it. All right, and with that, we are at the end of a significant first balance patch. Please, as always, let me know in the comments if there's anything I missed or just in general stuff that you would have liked to have seen buffed or nerfed. And as always, see you next time.